Hello everybody, welcome back to another Minecraft related video, not Minecraft video. Last time I said, hey, I'll go ahead and teach you guys how to make skins, or at least the way that I go about doing them. So that's this video, that's what this video is. So let's go ahead and get started with my process for skin making. To start off, I like to open up Novaskin. If you guys don't know what this site is, it's a little concerning because it's the most popular Minecraft skin site ever, really. Yeah. So you'll notice here that it gives you 6 colors automatically. And these are the colors that I use for my skins. So what I first like to do is I like to map out the face. So typically I'll have 2 layers of skin tone on the face, and then I'll have eyes here with the inside color here, and then I have the hair. So for the hair I'll grab the red, and this time I actually want to switch it up a little bit. I want to give the hairstyle like sort of this look going on. Yeah, I normally don't do that with skins, so I'll do that here. And then, obviously, I'll fill in the rest of the face with this skin tone. And then I'll decide to lay out the sort of side. So typically the ears are going to rest around here. Let me grab the eraser. So that's normally the shape of the ears with like longer hair. But since we have a little bit of shorter hair here, what I'll do is I'll say, okay, here's the hair. I'll do like that. And I think that's a good side. I think I'll do that. So it goes sort of like that. Yeah, like a 1, 2, 2, and then like a back in. So 2, 2. And back in. Now the hair sort of comes over, which is why I didn't fix that pixel, because it carries on over. And then for the bottom, I'll set the whole plane to that, and then I'll set the whole plane. There we go. I'll set the whole plane here. I'll set the whole plane here. I'll fill in the coloring of the hair, and I'll just cut to like when that is done. Okay, so now that it's done, I would like to point out that you'll see the hair on the sides here, and for that, what I like to do is I like to just draw a little rim to match it, right? So like that's the hair is just like sort of going under the head. So it's gonna look something like that. And then I'll say, okay, what kind of clothes do I want my character to be wearing? I'll say, okay, I'll slap a t-shirt on him. Let's say like I'll just use this color for now. And I can throw in a design in the middle to like complicate things, I guess, to make it more intricate. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that, because there is a way to throw the color, like to throw a design on, and I'll sort of walk through that as I'm doing the detailing. So here we have the different, so here we have this shirt. Oh, not mean to do that. And again, I'll just go ahead and cut to where I have the skin tone in the shirts fully textured. Alright, so now that the sleeves are fully colored, I like to go through and isolate the shirt. So here we have the torso. I'm going to draw in sort of where the neck sort of pokes out. And I'll color the sides here like this, but then I'll go through and color the top like so. So we have the neck is still this is where the neck is, and the shirt sort of goes around it. And then we have obviously the pants. Now I do typically like doing jeans or something like that. I think I'll go for like a cargo-y color. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I don't normally change the color. I didn't mean to here, but it did sort of just happen. So I'll fill in this, which I know later is going to be like a cargo type look. And then I'll say, okay, here are the shoes. Sort of create this look. So the shoes sort of go around, and then there's like an extra layer on top. I'm not going to color them in though. I just like to mark, well, right now I just like to mark where they are. So once this basic outline is done, here we have everything on the skin, and then this is where I say, okay, I want to add in some overlay on the hair. So I'll grab the hair and I'll say, okay, the hair goes like this. And so I'll do that. I'll even make it go around, but I'm actually going to exclude the corners. That's normally what I do, is I say, okay, I'll exclude the corners. And so the hair is going to look something like that. And then on the shoes, I did this for one of my skins, and I don't know why I stopped, but I'll do it again here. I like to do a little overlay on the front of the shoes, sort of like where the tongue would be. And I'll go here. And then this is sort of what the skin is going to look like. No texturing at all yet. I'll actually go ahead and click save, and I'll download the image as video skin. So we have the video skin, and this is where I'll actually go into my downloads. Here's video skin, and I actually open it with Paint 3D. Yeah, this is where I slightly diverge from other people's skin making, because I like to do it in Paint 3D. So here we have my skin tone. So I'll grab the skin tone, and I'll say, okay, I actually want it to be a little more white. Oh, not mean to do that. I'll click this pen, the pixel pen, drop the thickness to 1, and then I'll fill in all of the skin tones. A really quick way to fill in for the arms, something that I figured out recently, is you put a pixel down, grab the select tool, you highlight the pixel, and then you just drop like that. Because the fill tool I wouldn't trust on Paint 3D, simply because it's just inconsistent with its filling. If you want like more consistent to make it only that color, I would use Pixlr Editor E, but that's just another software, so I wouldn't go and use that when you have Paint 3D right here. So I'll copy the arm, I'll drag it over, and then I'll say, oh, not mean to do that, and I'll say, okay, the bottom of the head needs filled, so I'll copy this and just fill that in. It's actually a very fast process. So here we have that, and then I say, okay, well, the eyes need to be white, and I think the color for my eyes, I'll do like a green. For the hair, I want to go for like a blonde, so I'll grab one of these preset colors. And actually, you know what, instead of a blonde, actually, Yeah, let's try that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, I'd see that as a blonde. Very much also a skin tone kind of color, but it does work. So I'll go ahead and fill this out. Like that. Again, this is one of those times where you can just grab the select tool. It's a little thing I like doing. I'll grab the select tool and I will flip it to here. Oh, I didn't fully. Whoops. Alright. So that's there. And obviously I'd have to go through manually. I'll increase the size to 2. And then I'll say, okay, here is wait, why is it not? Oh, because I didn't press enter. I'm stupid. Okay. So yeah, there's that, and then I'll say, okay, here's this, and that's the hair color, skin color, and eyes. And then I'll say, okay, I want like a light blue shirt, but not that light blue. I'll say like a softer white blue, more natural looking. Sort of like a Steve leveled light blue. I think I'm comfortable with that, so I'll go ahead and change the shirt color and just cut to that. Alright, so here we have the shirt. And I'll go ahead and copy the sleeve, drag it over, and then I said I want to do like a brownish cargo pants type of thing. So here's a brown, play around with the redness a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and fill this in. This time I'll use a thickness of 3 to just fill it in faster. Like this, yeah. Okay. So we have the shoe, and then obviously I'm gonna want like a white. I'll do a white shoe, bottom, with a top of like a gray. So I'll just grab this gray, and then I'm also gonna use the gray on these 2 parts of the overlay here. So now I'll grab the shoe and drop it on over. Now this is like the basics done. So what I'll do is I'll do Alt FS. That saved it, and then I can open up a file. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Video skin, open. And so now I get to see sort of what my skin looks like fully. Pretty happy with the design for this. This is where I'll notice some of the things I missed. If I zoom in here, you'll notice that I forgot to carry over the texturing of the hair. So I'll go through and I'll say, okay, here's the hair. Alt FS. Let's go ahead and open that skin again. And here now it's consistent, and it looks, I'd say it still looks good. Alright, now this is where the texturing step comes in. So the first thing I like to do is I always like to start off with the skin tones. Actually, no, I normally start off with the shirt. I don't know why, but basically the shirt, every side of it is going to be darker around the edges and lighter in the center. And the reason for this is that typically shading on the clothing is going to be darker in areas with more contact of other areas. So you're going to see shading around the sides. Here, let me pull up Nova Skin again. You're going to see shading along sort of here, The arms are a little different. They're gonna have shading around the tops and bottoms, and then have less shading the more on the outside that they are. But the shirt is gonna have like sort of a bordered shading. And so what I'll do is I'll grab the color that I'm using, and on the very bottom right corner of that color, I'll click. Now you can drag along the scale if you want to really maximize the amount that you're using color theory, but I like to just stay to the color I'm using. So I'll sort of border the first tone, and I also like to make a little marking for the chest like this. And so this is going to be like the chest area, right? And then I'll grab a secondary color and I'll say, okay, I can fill in here, right? I can fill in sort of like here. I'll fill in here as well, and then I'll actually place 2 here and get a little more shading. Now to be consistent with the shirt, I'll grab a darker skin tone, and I'll fill it in like that. So that's going to be like the front of the shirt. I'm actually going to get a little crazy with it and do a slightly darker color again, sort of going down here near the bottom, and that's going to be the front of the shirt. The next important part of the shirt is going to be the sides, because the sides are actually going to be darker, so they're going to be this color the entire time because they're sort of hidden away. So I actually like to make this side darker, and I'll say, okay, it's gonna look something like this, that, and that's like the middle of that's like the shirt sides. So I'll grab this and just carry it on over. And then for the back, I like to do almost kite shape for the back. So I'll start off by having like a wider top and a narrower bottom. So here I'll leave the 2 center points taken up. Oh, actually, nah, it's not. Just a little too on the nose. Okay, there we go. So it's like a back type of design, and I'll grab the darker shade again, go through and sort of help it out a little. I might actually bring these up more. I'll grab the second color. Well, that's the skin tone. I'll grab the second color. Sort of do like that type of thing. And then again, I'll grab this, sort of mark it down. Now, the funny thing here is that you actually don't have to make, like, you can make colors that aren't connected. Like, this is the third shading and this is the first, and they're sort of touching, but it's okay because it looks good, right? It doesn't affect the quality of anything. And then I'll grab the second tone again, and I'll sort of come up here, and I'll do this. And so that's like the back, right? The top is gonna have connected shading is what I like to do. So you'll notice that the 2 pixels here are both this color, and then it has this color go through like this, and then this color here is going to be in both corners. I'll sort of do this with it. And I'll do that, and then I'll grab okay, that looks good, I'd say. So I'll do that, and then I'll actually go a little further with it and do this. I'll grab the skin tone and go one more range darker. I'll do that. Okay, so that's gonna be like the shirt, top of the shirt, and then the bottom. Again, it's gonna sort of keep the consistency. So you'll notice on the front of the shirt, in the corner, there's gonna be 1 pixel, and then it goes 4 on the sides, and then it ends with 1 pixel on the back. So you're just gonna have those strips of the darker color. It's gonna be 2 pixels on the front and 2 pixels on the back, so a little consistent. And then it's gonna be 2 and 2, and I'll go ahead and close it off like so for the bottom. And again, I can do Alt FS and then just open up the file again. And this is where I can see how my skin looks. And I'd say it's off to a pretty good start. So then the next thing I'll do is I'll continue by working on the arms. So since I already have the first 2 shades down, this is the front of the arm right here. This column underneath the top is the front of the arm. So what I'll do is I'll mark out where the elbow is gonna go. So I'll say it goes there, and I'll just drag it down like that. And this is going to be like the front of the arm, because you have the elbow, which is going to connect 3 this way and 3 this way, and then you just have like shading going on. So that's going to look like this. Then I'll grab the next dark shade, and since this is like already a dark area, I'm just going to increase some of the shading, and then I'll take it a step further as I do, and I'll mark it down like that. Now the actual shirt texture is going to be a little different. You're going to have contact here. You're going to have the darker tones. And then you're going to have the darkest tone to mark the contact. And that's going to be, it's going to be the front of the shirt. And then obviously, again, I like to have the inside be darker. Wait, hold on. Oh, this is my bad. So this is actually the right side of the skin, like the right arm, meaning that I actually have to flip this like so. Okay, so the inside is actually going to be this point here. So I'll just go ahead, make the entire inside darker. And then, of course, I'm going to make a point to get the elbow in. And actually, the elbow is going to look more like that, because then I just have like the natural shading of everything coming down. Like that. So that's going to be like the inside of the arm. And then the outside of the arm is going to sort of look like this. You'll notice that there's not actually going to be any shading here. The outside of the arm is actually like very dry in terms of texturing. I could probably throw down like a like a little skin thing if I really wanted to. I'm not going to though, because I kind of like the cleaner look. And then this is going to be the back, so it's going to need more contact. It's going to have more areas of contact. So I do this, right? It's not going to have an elbow though. So what I'm actually going to do is just highlight it like this, because there's not going to be an elbow to mark down contact, so I'm just not going to include it. It's going to look something like this. I think I'm actually going to drop that down one just for the sake of it. And then again, we're going to have the darkening of this area, and then just some normal shading. Not too crazy though, because there's just no need for it to be. And then the back again is going to have areas of contact. I think I'll just copy the front section of the sleeve, flip it, drag it over, and then I'll change it a little bit by like increasing this by like a pixel, dropping that down. But other than that, it doesn't really need too many changes. So I'll have that, and then obviously the side again, these pixels are going to carry over. These pixels I'm going to have carry over, and I'll just sort of do like that type of lining. It's not going to have, actually, no, I'll just leave that empty. It's not going to really have too much texturing. You know, there's no need for it to. And then the top, that carries over, that carries over. This entire side here carries over. You're going to have that. And then, so that's going to be like the top, and the bottom of the hand is going to have the dark points that carry over. So we have the front, side, like that. This is the middle section. And then this sort of rim, and I'll do this again. I'll leave it open like that. And important thing to note is how to reflect it. How much time are we working with here? Okay, so it's been 32 minutes. That's crazy. So an important thing to note is that you need to have how to reflect it. So you're gonna copy the front, and you're gonna reflect it, and that's going to drag over to here. This side right here doesn't need to be reflected. Oh wait, no it does, because it's not symmetrical. So I'm going to flip it, and then drag it over to the left, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to drag it over to the right, and then I will copy this, and I'll drag it over here. And then obviously this needs to be reflected, and this needs to be reflected, and that's going to be the sleeves. And again, we can go into Nova's skin. We can say this is what my skin. Let me drop down the arms. And it actually looks really good. I'm actually so happy with this. I think I'm going to carry over the pixel on the bottom of the sleeve there. but I'm very happy with how this texturing is turning out. So here I'll go ahead, carry out the bottom, and Alt FS. And now it's time for the pants. So since they're cargo pants, I'm gonna want them to be a little baggier. You know, they're gonna have a little bit of space, like sizing to them. And to do this, I'm actually gonna do something real interesting here. I'm gonna go ahead and do the shading that I need to. So it's gonna be like a bag. It's gonna be baggier. So there's gonna be a little more open space. There's a knee. Oh, actually, hold on. Forgot that I needed to include the contact. So I'm gonna do something like this. I think the knee I'll place here. Right, and then obviously the inside is going to be just completely the darker color. And then I'll have, so like this, thing of this going on. Need to mark the knee. Actually, I don't need to mark the knee again. So I'll just do that. Obviously that's the knee. Carries through. I'll go ahead and darken the color again. Like this. I'll go ahead and say, okay, we have coloration here, coloration there. I'll obviously drop this down. And then I'll say, okay, let's make it darker one more time. So it's gonna look like this. Right, this is some speed texturing happening right now. Do something like that. And then obviously I'll play around, fiddle with it a little. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I think this looks great. And what I'll do is I'll actually, hold on, I do need to finish the tops first. So, boom, boom, boom. That transfers, darker, and then like that. And the shoes, oh, cancel. The shoes, I'll say, okay, these are 80. Let's drop it to, 88. I'll drop it to 80. I'll make it darker, see in this area. Although it is going to need to be slightly darker, so I'll do 70. Back here. And then the shoes, The borderings of them are going to be a little darker, so I'll do 230. Do 230, and then I'll go 220. Oh, that's 200. For the darker areas. And then 210 for this inside part. Transferring over to the shoe, and then yeah, that's all we need for the shoe. And then those two parts are fine, and I'll go ahead and cut to where I do the overlay and all of that kind of stuff. I'll just cut to there once I'm done. So there we have everything but the head. And I can do Alt FS again. I can open up skin editor, and you'll notice that if I move it around, the pants are a little baggy, right? They do have a little bit of that baggy design. Now there is a cut where the knees are, but other than that, I'd say it looks pretty good. And now we can focus on the, well, holy voice crack. Okay, we can focus on the hair and the head now. So obviously I'm going to speed run this, and here is how we do the face. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen, and I'll color in every area underneath the hair. I'm going to color in the borders of the face, marking for the nose. Looking for the nose, and I'll leave a little spacing there. Actually, no. I don't. Oh, that's why. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say, okay. I need to grab the next dark color, and I'm going to darken these 2 pixels down here. I'm going to darken these spots. I'm going to darken some of these areas here. And I'll come through and I'll darken up a little, lighten, well, increase the shading, I should say. So you have that going on, and then I'll say, okay, here are the eyes. Eyes are going to be a little darker on the tops. And now they are. And then we have the hair. So the hair is going to be interesting. So I grab the hair, make it darker. Holy voice crack. I make it darker, about that much. I say, okay. Here are the borders. Alright, now, I'll make his hair sort of flow around. So I'll make marks of it flowing to the back here. So do that. Maybe like this. Oh yeah, so there's like clear indications that his hair is flowing in a direction, which is important to have. and it is also going down, so I'll indicate that too by having more weight in those points. And I'll do that here. We're going to go 2, go like that, and then we'll go like this. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be the hair. Obviously, make sure to follow through with the detailing, like so. And then I'm going to grab the next dark color. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to have the bottom like that. We're going to have the top look like this. We're going to have this sort of happen here. And I'll just follow through with all of those choices. And boom. So that's going to be like the hair, right? And then obviously I'm going to need to copy it on the overlay. There we go. And then obviously, oh wait, no, there is no dark. Okay. Weird how that dodges. So again, for the back, I want it flowing sort of down. So I want the weight to be a little heavier on the top. There we go. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. It honestly looks fine not being symmetrical. And then for the top, I'm going to want to do this. It's going to look something like that, I'll say, as the top of the hair. And then obviously the sides are going to need to be consistent. So it's going to be, typically there's going to be like a black section of the skin, just like a black hole marking the neck, but I'm not going to do that. Alright, and that's going to wrap it up for the skin, I think. I'm going to do a little Alt-Fs action. Again, I'm going to open up the skin file. And, okay. Honestly, I am super happy with how this turned out. I think there are some things I could tweak to improve, and I totally forgot to do the top. Holy crap. See, this is why I have to open it back up in Nova Skin, because I always forget something. So here we have the skin. There we go. I think this is great. I actually rushed this a little bit for the sake of the video's timings, but I think this looks great. Yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm super happy with this. I actually really like where I went with this. I think it looks really good. I'm actually going to keep this how it is, and I might use this, like hand it off to a friend of mine, so that way they can use it. This is great though. I think this turned out amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching if you stuck around for that very long video, because I really wanted to get the detail in. And anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.